Welcome to the Dropout Professor channel, the inaugural video. We're going to go over this SIG P320, look at some of the customizations that's been done to it. And this is a nightstand gun. It sits just like that on the nightstand each night. So the first thing we're going to do is make sure that it's not loaded. And if it's on your nightstand, it should be loaded. And if it's on your nightstand, it should also have a shell inside the chamber. Now we're going to disassemble, and just preliminarily you can see there's been a couple things done. First off, the sights have been changed, and then also the trigger, the two things that stand out the fastest on it. And then also it has a extra long magazine catch release that I installed on it. So we're going to go ahead and take it apart real quick. While we're doing that, let's move some things out of the way here. We're going to also look at the original grip module that was on it. I'm going to go through some of the things that's been changed on the one that's on the pistol currently. So of course, in order to take this down, it only has to be slid backwards and unlocked. Inside you'll see right here, it's had the slide guide rod changed over to a 1911 style. This is the factory one that comes in it. Looks like that. These are usually 21 to 22 pounds. This one here has been changed to the full stainless steel guide rod from Gray Guns. And then also, it's had some modifications done to it with the spring recoils also. So this one is the 10 pound. And I also took 2 coils off of it to make it even lighter than 10 pounds. And then there's the 12 pound that was in it. So changing the 10 pound out, switching it from a factory one to a 10 pound, changes a couple things on the gun. It makes it cycle faster, and it also lessens the perceived recoil on it, which makes it a little bit easier to do double taps on, and makes it slightly more accurate as you're doing those. So of course the barrel just slides out like that. Now this pistol has been fired about 3,900 rounds, and as you can tell, it really doesn't have a whole lot of wear on it. One of the things that I can say that's probably helped that is each time the pistol's been fired, every time it comes home from the range, it ends up getting cleaned and then re-lubricated and then put back on the nightstand. Still has the factory barrel in it. Still also barrel's in really good shape still. Doesn't have hardly any wear at all in it. And of course, like I said, I keep it lubricated and keep it clean. There we go. So some of the things that's been done, this one here, the feed ramp from the factory, didn't really need to have anything done to it, so I didn't do anything to this one. Like I said, the barrel, it chambers up fine. It works good, shoots straight. This gun currently will put down 3 shots inside of a quarter, inside of 21 feet. So it's pretty accurate. In order to take this fire control unit out, you just slide this pin out of the pistol all the way. Comes out, it's got a little rubber O-ring on it. And then you push up on the trigger, pull the entire piece out, like that. So there's what it looks like with it out. To change the trigger out, which I don't think these are available any longer. This pistol, by the way, has not been sent back to SIG, and it has not had the trigger update for the drop safe. I opted not to do that. My pistol didn't never have any problems with it. Never felt like it was unsafe. But you will notice on the fire control unit, it's got some pretty shiny spots on it. Before this pistol was ever taken to a range, it got 2 things upgraded on it. Well, really 3. This was polished, and this is where the pistol trigger actually comes across here. The flat face trigger was installed in it, and then also this guide rod was put in it with the 12-pound spring, which was the first one I ever purchased. Some people would say that if you put too light of a spring, you end up running the chance that you're going to hurt your frame and your slide. I've run 1911s with an 8-pound spring on a 45 caliber bullet. I've never had any problems with them. You can buy frame buffers for a 1911, well, which I used to run in my Kimber. But even then, you never really seen any wear, anything, no real big problems with it. And this pistol's no different. This pistol's run an 8-pound spring, approximately 3,000 rounds so far, and it really has no real wear, nothing really to worry about. But in order to make this pistol shoot, in order to make the pistol trigger feel a little bit better, one of the things that was recommended was to take this trigger out, take this trigger connector out, and then polish the piece behind it, the actual body of the piece, and then polish anywhere where it touched. So it's polished here, it's been polished there. This spring also has been altered. If you take this spring and pull it out and then take a pair of needle nose pliers and tweak it a little bit forward, it actually makes the trigger have a shorter reset. And I'll demonstrate that once we put it all back together. But very accurate gun, very nice gun. You will see that I took the ambidextrous slide release off the right side. I'm right-handed. I only need the left one. So I went ahead and took that off. And then we'll move along over here to the body of the gun, the grip module. So right off the bat, you're going to see a couple things that's been changed. You'll notice that this hole has been opened up with a Dremel. Basically, it has a ported mag in it where the magazine goes. The factory one, I never done anything to it, never touched it. And then also, you'll see that the factory one had a big giant piece here on it. The replacement Sig Sauer did not have that on it, which I like a lot better. Makes the gun seem a lot smoother. As you see, it fits really good in the hand. The best thing you can do for accuracy for your pistol is to make sure it fits your hand really well. This one fit my hand a whole lot better than the medium. This is a full-size small that I picked up off of Top Gun Supply. And I also picked this up off of Top Gun Supply, and you can see the difference pretty easily in looking at them next to each other. That one sticks out a whole lot more than this one does. If I can get it up in the light. This one fit my hand, it just didn't fit. It didn't feel right in my hand. It didn't feel very good. This one's very comfortable. This one moved my finger pad right to the trigger. And once I put this back together, I'll show you that when you slide the slide back and it cocks and the striker and everything's all set up ready to fire, with the flat face in it, when you pull it backwards, it literally pulls back about 60 thousandths, and about 40 thousandths of that is a creep. And then it hits a wall, and then when you squeeze it, it's about still 5 pounds. But where I polished it, it's a lot smoother than it used to be. So this piece here, right here, is the sear. And this piece here has been polished on the back side. I had to take all of this apart to do that. It's not that difficult to get apart. And right there it's been polished. And then also in the slide right here on the striker, so this is the hammer basically. So the hammer has been polished on the front here where it rides on that sear. Here's part of the drop safe and the mag release. And then in order to get this out, you have to put something down in here, pull this forward, take the pressure off of it, and then slide this piece out. So you slide it in here, pull this way, and then as you're doing that, you pop this piece, the back of the gun actually slides out of the top of the slide. Here's where the detent spring is for the extractor. This gun's never had the extractor. Never had anything done to it. It's worked great the whole time I've owned it. The gun has never misfired, not one time, which kind of is amazing compared to all the things that I've done to it. Also, you'll notice that on the sights, the rear sight on the new one, the Dawson Precision, actually has some knurling across the front of them, and that's so you can actually slide it against your belt or put it against the back of your shoe so you can actually rack the slide back and load the pistol or clear a misfire out. So we'll put it back together real quick and we'll do some measurements on it. Show you one of the reasons why I changed the slide guide rod and the spring out of it, and also show you the reasons I changed the sights on it. So of course this all goes back together the same way that it normally would. Let's just get slid back down in there and then up against the back of the barrel there. So that's all back together. And then with the correct grip module, fire control unit gets slid back in this way underneath like that, and you have to kind of tip the trigger in order to get it back down in there, but it will go. There we go. You slide it all the way back, push it all the way down. You can tell when it's all the way back in because this hole will just about be perfect. And then in order to get that all the way lined back up, you put your locking bar back in. You just kind of twist it and work it, and it'll go back in there. And you put it all the way back across. You'll know when it's all the way in because it'll seat. You'll feel it. There we go. And you turn it back down so you'll be able to put your slide back on. So this one here has been taken apart. It's been pretty much all cleaned out. I'm just going to put some lube back on it because I did wipe everything off of it, so I'd be able to do a pretty good video of it and show you what it was like on the internals. So I got the Extreme Duty gun oil from Lucas. Also purchased the gun grease. Pretty much it's up to you which kind you like to use. The thicker stuff, I like to actually put a small dab here on the hammer sear. I don't put very much on it, as you can tell. It doesn't take very much. And then on the areas where the slide meet and touch, here and here and here and here, I usually take and put a small dab of oil. And I mean a really small dab. That was actually too much. That's really all you need of that oil, unless you want to lay your gun on your nightstand and have to put a rag under it for 2 or 3 days, because it will leak out. It's the last thing you want. Then you slide it back together, lock it back in place, lock that back in place, and it's back together. One thing to note, when you cut down your spring, your pistol may do that right there. Now, if it does that, that's not a huge deal, but it will not fire. Typically it won't fire, but if it's out of battery, your gun usually will not fire. This one will. It's never had a problem with it hanging up because that spring was too light. So don't be afraid that if you put yours back together with that spring set up, that there's a problem with it. It still works just fine. Then also, I'll show you the difference and how this is. That thing has got a ton of clearance there and ramping on each side of it and even on the back. Just worked it through. I didn't cut through anything. All I did was kind of take the Dremel and massage it and open it up, but it does take the mag really easily now. And it drops free. I never really had a problem with that, but especially when you open that up, it's always going to drop free out of the gun. This gun has been taken to an IDPA event. It is IDPA compliant. And then probably the next couple things I'd like to do to it is put an extended mag. You can buy the +4 or +5 base plates for them with new springs and followers. That's off of the Springfield site. There's a Springfield site that sells those. They also sell them to fit the SIGs. As you can tell, it's definitely a full size. If you're going to have one for home use, I would say full size is the way to go. It does have a very nice sight picture, which you can see right there. So it's very easy to put on target, even pulling it from your holster on your side. The trigger itself is very crisp. Like I said, it only moves a little bit and then it cracks and it's over. And the reset is that's it. That's the reset. It's kind of positive. You can't hear it, but it does click. You can feel it. Like I said, even doing the alterations to it, it's never had a problem with firing. So next thing to do to it, like I said, more capacity in the mag. Definitely a laser with the light on the bottom. And I really like the sights because even at night, they do pick up quite a bit of light and low light. So I don't necessarily want to do anything with milling this off and putting an RMR on it or anything like that. There's really no reason for that. Not for a nightstand gun. The other nice thing is these sights, although they are taller on the front, I got one that's about 30 thousandths taller. This gun at 21 feet was about 5.5 inches high for my taste. Now, with the little bit taller sight on it, wherever you put the orange dot or the red dot is exactly where the gun fires at, between 50 and between 21 and probably 50 feet. So it's still, like I said, it's very accurate. And even though it's got the tall sights on it, it does still fit inside of the holster. So that is definitely a plus. If you want to use this at your local gun range, most of them won't let you carry it holstered. However, if you do not want to leave it on the desk, you are allowed to carry it around like that with the slide pulled back with your mag in it. But I usually leave the full mags laying up on top of the desk at the shooting range, just so it's definitely safer to do it that way. And then the other thing I'll show you on it is the difference in the sights. So the sight that came on the pistol, they were metal. However, I bought the $499.99 version without the night sights on it because I knew I was going to change them over. It came with just these steel sights. The gun shot okay with those sights on it. I probably fired it 300 or 400 times with those on it. As you see, that one is a lot shorter. There it is. a lot shorter than the one that's on it. So you lay them next to each other on the gun, and it's about 25 thousandths of an inch shorter than the one that's actually on the pistol currently. The other thing that's different about the sights is the front is a narrow sight. So the front sight is about 50 thousandths wide, and the one that was on it from the factory is about 75 thousandths wide. So what that does for you is when you pull the pistol up, like I said before, it's very easy to acquire your target. One of the other things that I'll say is when you clean these pistols, or if you're cleaning your pistols, one of the things I like to use also is one of these bore snakes. It's very easy, makes cleaning the pistol up a lot easier, makes it very easy on you. You don't have to really clean it back off when you're done. You usually squirt a couple squirts of